Hey, everybody. Glad to have you back with the Guy Vancouver Podcast. We're starting our new season, obviously. I've got a couple under my belt, and I'm excited to do this season. It's going to be really good. We got a lineup of unreal guests, business, music, food, and today we're going to be talking to an incredible lady about fashion. She is a designer. She makes these cool one-piece. Oh, and that's the name of her company, One Piece. That ties in. These one-piece bodysuit swimsuits. She'll explain it all to you. It's a great idea. Again, she's a local Vancouver person doing work in Vancouver. I met her, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago through another friend of ours, Isabel Dunlop, and that's Isabel Dunlop Clothing. She's on the internet. Fabulous stuff. And I think we met at was it a pop-up?
It was a pop-up.
Pop-up.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't introduced her, but there she is. And yeah, we just hit it off. We were just chit-chatting, and she seems to be like full of shit like I am. She can talk up a storm. And and I ran into her a few more times, so we decided she needs to be on the podcast, talk about her product, talk about Vancouver, talk about where she's from. So I'd like to introduce you to Cindy from One Piece Co. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having me, Kelly.
Oh, you're welcome.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad you can make it in this rainy, foggy weather day. It's so strange out there.
I couldn't think of another rainy Wednesday afternoon, but to come and talk to you.
Yeah,
so
it's nice.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great. We're in the comfort of the Studio A, which is a beautiful place to do our podcast. Yeah, it's really nice. It's nice and comfy in here. A little bit dark, like a cave, but it works out real well. So a couple of the questions I had for you at the beginning about your company. So One Piece Co. is, go ahead.
One Piece Co. Designed. I'm the designer and founder. It's locally made here in Vancouver, sustainably made with all the textiles, and it's manufactured and produced here.
Is
specifically,
it made in
it's
Vancouver?
made, yeah,
Awesome.
It's just in downtown Vancouver, which is where I live there too. So I found a production partner, a small fashion house. So they help me with product development and pattern making, and they produce local designers as well. So they're a small fashion house, and we just do small batches.
What are they called? I think that's a
They're
great
called
idea.
Fashion 5 Studio.
Awesome.
Fashion 5 Studio number 5. Rodika is the owner there. I've been working with her now for just under 3 years. She's amazing. So
See, I love that kind of thing.
she actually curated the first pop-up, and that's how I got Isabel, the Dunlop, who is our mutual friend.
Yeah.
Kelly's wearing one of her scarves right now.
I know, it's beautiful.
It's amazing.
Maybe I'll put it like this, and yeah, Isabel made that for me, particularly for the studio.
Yeah, so she curated the fashion pop-up, and because we worked together, so it was my first pop-up. Met Isabel, and now I have 2 under my belt. So
awesome.
So in the future, we're going to curate a bunch new ones coming up. So.
Let me ask you a question about that before we go on.
Sure.
Continue on. So this is now you're getting your product designed, and then this is a local company like right in Vancouver. So do you have any idea of how many people they employ?
She has, I would say, less than 10.
Okay, but still,
it's a studio just in Gastown.
There's 10 people locally that are creating fashion, that are working, making a living, right, from what your passion is. See, to me, I love that. I mean, when I say I love it more than anything. In our studio, remember I showed you around all the guitars? I already have 1, 2, 3, 4 guitars from local builders.
Amazing.
Because I believe that I want to support local people, and they're great guitars. They're maybe I don't know how much you know about guitars. They're there's fancy names out there. Yeah, same here. But I think that's so important because it trickles down, right? Those are 10 people that are working in the fashion industry in Vancouver. Yes. Awesome.
Yes, met Rodika just really doing research. I don't come from a fashion background. I used to work corporately many years. And
what kind of corporate?
In financial wealth management. Ooh. So I was like an executive big time for 13 years downtown.
Executive, nice.
Yes. And then they did a big company change and bought me out, and just took some time. I didn't want to go back into that field.
Yep.
I was dancing, acting when I was a child, so I wanted to get back into that. I really love swimwear and the ocean, so I was like, can I design swimwear? Can I get a small fashion house to help me do that? And just started it during the pandemic, found Fashion 5 Studio
Cool.
and Rodica, and her and I just worked well together, and she helped me. I've taken some crash courses, and
I'm going to just turn off my phone because I always forget.
that's okay.
That's classic Kelly, isn't it? Just like,
So yeah, thank you, Rodica. if
cool.
you're ever-
Okay, continue on with your story. So
Oh yes.
Yep.
So yes, starting One Piece Co. In my 40s now, always loved swimming, and I've owned more swimwear than I did clothing. Still to this day, I
Awesome.
do. I grew up on the Sunshine Coast, so walking to the beach every day. It was funny, back in the day, my parents would go to work and leave us at home, and we would just go swimming. Can you imagine swimming in the ocean,
Yeah.
unattended? You know,
I
me and my
know.
brother would be on logs. I would save starfish.
It's not the same world.
Bring a bag
that's
of
for sure.
shells, like walking to the beach and from in our bare feet.
Yeah. I'm a little bit older than you, but yeah, I was raised the same way. I mean, I would walk to school, come home. My mom was always home, but it would just be a snack, and then I'd be gone outside for hours, and it's just, and I won't, I raised my children a little bit like that,
Oh.
but not as much because I was worried. And my grandchildren, no, you can't go anywhere. Like, yeah, it's a different world.
Super wild.
And too, I mean, parents get in trouble for doing that. They let their kids kind of grow wild. People are calling them on it.
I think if I were to have children, I'd be like, you're never allowed out of the home.
Yeah,
I would probably be overprotective.
Yeah.
But just even coming home at night, how did we know when dinner time was? Did we
I know.
smell it down the street?
It was just
I don't
built
know.
into
It was
us.
so weird.
I know. It was just built
Well, you
in.
think about kids now being on iPads and stuff, but
it's
anyways.
definitely a different world. You're raised on the Sunshine Coast, which is like
seashell.
So, we were talking earlier about the Sunshine Coast, and I was saying that I'm born and raised in Vancouver, and I've traveled a lot of the world. I've been to Europe and Italy and London. I've been to the South Pacific. I've been a lot of places, right? And people always ask me, blah blah blah. Do you love it? I'll go anywhere once, but I love Vancouver. Okay, I think Vancouver is just an amazing city.
Me too.
And it's amazing because we have all these weird different parts that when you go to, it's a different world. So we were talking about skiing. You go to Whistler, it's awesome. It's a different world. It isn't Vancouver. If you go out the valley, Chilliwack and those areas, the farmlands, and during the summer, I'm out there all the time buying produce and corn. I love it. The Sunshine Coast is, depending on what ferry you take, half an hour away, maybe?
It's
40 minutes?
40 minutes.
And you are in a different world.
And 15 minutes from downtown.
Yeah. And it's like
quick ferry ride. By the time you get up, take a sip of your coffee, you're already in.
Gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
And laid back.
I love it.
Yeah, it feels like you're in the Pacific coast of Hawaii or something. Like, it has that vibe.
It does. It's
And
very community.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. It's just unreal.
I still have family and cousins that
Oh,
I go
that's
out and
awesome.
visit all the time. I really do. I've been downtown, aging myself. Probably living downtown for 25 years now.
Yeah.
So quick escape, mountains, but yeah, definitely a gem.
But isn't that the coolest thing you can? I remember when me and my wife were younger, we lived downtown, and we have a lot of our businesses have been downtown, and I love downtown because it's like the restaurants,
Urban town.
yeah, the bars. Like there's lots to do if you get out there and do it right. But then you can get away in no time.
Absolutely.
And being beautiful in nature.
Whistler, yeah.
And the Sunshine Coast. And it's that's what I love about Vancouver. It's so many people come here, they're like, you guys have it great. And I think a lot of people don't appreciate it or don't use it.
I do all the time.
Same
I live
here.
in Yaletown. I always make sure I'm close to the water. So rain, shine, snow, girlfriend and I are still going to go for a walk this afternoon
Cool.
and still do our Yaletown Marina side and hit up Denman and go all the way English Bay.
How else would Arc'teryx be a huge company if we didn't
I
need
know.
rain
I
jackets?
love all those brands too. They're so good.
Okay, so now
yeah.
so One Coast. So I've noticed because I was on your website, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And it's named after all the suits are named after what?
Yes. So One Piece Co. is the names, how I name them are inspired by the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah.
So as a sustainable small company, I only just launched with 2 pieces and they're only 1 pieces. So one is Sultry Bay, which is a long sleeve. And then I have Half Moon Bay, which is a 1 shoulder. And coming out in a few months, hopefully by spring and summer, is Davis Bay. So I grew up on that beach
Yeah,
too. So all
that's
named
awesome.
over, all around Sunshine Coast.
I love that connection. Now, obviously, I'm sure you sell worldwide, so it's out there, and people don't know that, but local people would key on that, and I think that's like even people worldwide, once they learn that, that gives them a connection, right? It's not just some kind of, I don't know, weird made up name they do for products sometimes. It's like,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Yeah, I was struggling with the names. Like, it's how do you name your book or how do you name your movie? But just honing into your original story. I've taken some crash courses, and storytelling is really good. So
yeah.
it's just where I grew up.
Yeah, it's always good to that's at least, and that's what I do, and I find that's what I connect with people. Everything that I do always comes back to my origin story, because that's who I am. That's what made Kelly what he is now at a 62-year-old man was my origins being, adopted, having dyslexia, having great parents, like all these things, being born and raised in Vancouver and Burnaby and having great community. And so all my businesses, always tie back into that. Like this business is here in Burnaby. And I think that's important that, as then people get to know your brand and then it's true.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a lot of brands out there that are made
very
up.
transparent.
Yeah.
Yes. Starting One Piece Co. too was being sustainable as well.
Yeah.
So having everything made here. Textile is out from Delta. It's an eco-tech. Ultimately, all of our material comes overseas, but they source and make sure it's sustainable. So the material is pretty amazing. It's made from, depends on which side, but like 7 to 10 plastic bottles. It's an amazing material. It's very dreamy. It's almost like a Spanx for any ladies out there, a Spanx or a Skims. So it's got a double compression in it, but super comfortable. And any swimmers that aren't swimmers, it also serves as a bodysuit. So they're really nice. Like spent years on the quality and crafting it. So it's high quality.
Yeah.
Also, proceeds go towards Battered Women Support Services in
Yes.
Canada.
Yep.
So if you want to learn more about that, you can go to bwss.org. It's a really good nonprofit organization that helps violence against women. There's a lot more information there, so it's pretty alarming.
Yeah, I dropped onto their page too, and it's like there's a lot of information, and for us to get into it, I think that's a whole program in itself.
Absolutely, but knowing,
yeah. I mean,
go there, check it out.
That's just a great thing to do, and again, me being a 62-year-old white man, I have no experience in it, but it's horrible, and it's great that you do that, and it's just always freaks me out. I just don't understand.
Absolutely, yeah, me too, because I'm part of their newsletters and working with them, so it's very alarming.
So is it a local organization though?
It's a local, Canadian.
Yeah,
it's in Vancouver. They're also part My Sister's Closet, any local Vancouver secondhand thrift shop. So you can donate clothes there. So they're a social enterprise. And they also, every woman that works there, completely volunteer. All the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds go towards Battered Women Support Services.
That's good.
So way to help out. You can donate clothes. You can
and
volunteer. You can purchase one of my suits, but it's a really good My Sister's Closet too.
I've
that's
heard
all
of that.
on BWSS.
Yeah, I've heard of that before.
Some of my suits hopefully will be hanging up there too. So it's for new and used artists. So
and the thing is that all clothes should be donated.
Yes,
it's like that's a when I get on my environmental high horse, which I don't get on very often, but fashion. And obviously, you're taking the different approach, being sustainable and local, which I absolutely love. Because not even I love the sustainable, but again, that can still come from Asia, and it can be difficult. Okay,
yeah.
But it's like I love that you're using a company in town to make your stuff that are employing people here. That all turns around. I think that's the most important.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the one problem with this. That we've encountered over the last 20 years with the globalization of the world. And sure, that is a good thing too. There's nothing wrong with it. But your backyard, you should care about it too. and employing people in your backyard, in your community, in your cities only helps everyone. Because those people are going to live here. They're going to spend the money here. It's not like, they're not Jeff Bezos who's hoarding it in some tax-free haven somewhere.
I do everything in my power not to shop on Amazon.
Yeah.
But
Same here,
I do. But now there's barely any supply. I'm like, I need a plug.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And I'm with you on it, but it works sometimes. I ordered some stuff yesterday, and as I pressed order, I went, damn you, Jeff Bezos. But, that's the world we live in. But I just love that you're making it locally and you're employing people here. And I think that's so important. And I love that you, like said, how you've tied your whole business into the Sunshine Coast, naming it after those things. I just, now, obviously, I'll never wear one because you don't make men's bathing suits yet, but maybe.
My dream is to make men's shorts. I get so many requests, surprisingly.
Yes.
I said, yes.
Yeah, because, come March or April, I'll probably have you back to do another. I don't get out of my shorts. As soon as that sunshine comes on, I live in shorts, right?
Get some prototypes going.
Yeah. So, but I just think that's a really important part of like local businesses and some of the other local businesses that I've had on the show. That's what I really love. They're employing people in Vancouver or Burnaby or the Lower Mainland. I just think that's so important. I can't state it enough. I'll say it again. I think it's so damn important.
I do too.
Yeah.
I also love going to Vancouver. It's a new community to me, being like a new designer, but just going to these local pop-ups that are curated, men's and women's. Is I always have such a good time. So I'm hoping to do a lot more of them. Meeting Isabel.
I think I've known Isabel for quite a few years, right? And through my wife, because they know each other. But so, and through Isabel, meeting lots of other designers. My wife's a hairdresser, so she's in the fashion industry, did millions of fashion shows with my wife. So we know a lot of designers in town. And I love the whole, it's not just been 10 years, but more than ever in the last 10 years, the whole pop-up model. And the people that seem to do that are really great. They want to work together. Whereas like I could say maybe back in the older days, it was what does my daughter call it? Gatekeeping or something, they weren't, the fashion industry wasn't as shareable. Oh, you're going to steal my design. You're going to, you're going to steal my, always this, you're going to steal my idea and stuff. And I always used to thought, well, if your idea is really, really, really good, then you don't have to worry about that. It'll survive. Whereas with the pop-up situation, because, you're getting a space and everybody's working together, I just find it's just a great environment for fashion or art or all that stuff to grow, right? It's so cool.
I found it very interesting. I was so enthusiastic going to Radhika at Fashion 5, my production partner in Vancouver. She's like, oh, wow, you're so new to this industry. And it's gatekeeping totally. No one shares where they get their material from. And I'm a really good researcher, and it took me a long time to figure out, why doesn't anyone share any information? Any new designers out there, you want to try, start swimwear? DM me. I will tell you everything for free. I don't get that.
I don't get that either. And
she said, wow, it's so refreshing. I'm like, okay, I want to change this industry. I'm doing a slow fashion. The more we know and educate, then the better the world goes. I'm not going to keep everything to myself. I'm very open book. So any questions you want to ask me, and I'm new to this, and I'm a quick learner. But the whole gatekeeping, where the tiniest little things from where pins go or what material you use. I'm good now feeling material. I'll know where it's from and who made it. But also doing these collaborations and pop-ups. But now new brands, jewelry, jeans, they want to, mix together and let's do a collaboration and help each other out. Other brands, like competing brands too. There's so many swimwear brands that I've met and connected with, and we'll do a pop-up. So there's room for everybody.
Of course. I mean, Again, the whole gatekeeping thing is strange because if you're in that community, let's say the fashion community, which you are, but more specifically in the swimwear community, the major corporations in the world, maybe people think that they compete against each other, but they do not. Yeah. The car companies all sit down at the same table to say, how do we sell more cars?
Yeah.
All these big corporations are not competing They work together to get our dollars. But when it's that next step down or this kind of level, it's all gatekeeping and, oh, you can't know what I do. And that's not, if you all work together, you all grow together. Now,
Absolutely.
a few of them might not, but that's the product that isn't that good. That's just business, right? That's the normal scheme of things. And that's exactly what we did here at Get Ready Sound. When we were talking about doing this business and we're going to do this, it was like, yeah, there's no gatekeeping. There's no like, oh, yeah, we'll tell you how to do a podcast. Maybe if you.
It's the secret sauce.
Yeah. What's the secret sauce? Oh, we have the secret sauce, but you have to do this and you have to do that. And that's just ridiculous. And there is no secret sauce.
No, there isn't.
And there's no secret sauce to what you did. You know what the secret sauce is? Taking the first step.
Absolutely.
Just doing it.
And you got to do it. Obviously there's fear behind starting and doing something new. Who am I? Fashion industry other than oil is killing our planet.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, maybe I just won't start it. But there is room for everybody.
Sure there is.
It's a small batch production, almost made to order.
Yeah, but that's exactly it. Like, who are you? Yeah. Right? You haven't been in the fashion industry for 20 years. Who are you to design a swimsuit, and that's just weird. We've already even had that. Like, well, who are you guys to build a studio? Nobody. We just wanted to build a studio and had a great idea.
For sure, and it can be intimidating looking at other brands that are similar to mine in Vancouver, and they've got like 250K followers. But like, who knows? Maybe they bought them and having their social media on top of it. But I've just learned not to compare myself to others and just being authentic and grow. Like slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah, you bet.
I don't want to be running around with my head chopped off and not. Then you lose focus of what you're doing. So
you bet.
I have a board in my home office that I always look at, just sustainable, slow, exactly, clear messaging, and just kind of.
I have the exact same thing. No, I don't. I don't have a board.
One foot in front of the other.
I don't have a vision board.
And I'm super new too. I'm just under a year. I just launched this past summer,
no. I was going to say,
still learning, still growing.
When I met you, you were just telling me, oh, this is just new.
I launched it 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. A year into it is just you're just getting your footing and going, right? But that's the other thing that's really weird too nowadays. Is like I've been pretty much an entrepreneur all my life. I had a little stint where I went corporate construction, but I've always owned my own businesses, and I just lost my whole train of thought. See, I do this I always do this on my podcast. I'm like, what the hell was I going to say there? Was really
That's
good.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. So, what else did I want to ask you about the company? So what are then your future goals for it? So like, I know that you have, because I just heard you say earlier, you have 2 pieces, and it's kind of like that slow cooking thing. It's like, slow it down. You're not going to have 50 different pieces and all these kind of things. And I know that I'm pretty sure they're all in black. So that's all good.
Yeah, I just have one color right now.
But so like, what is your goal for the future? So I have my magic wand and I get to go bing, and it's going to go great. So what's the goal for the future of this? What's your desire to make it the perfect one that you wanted? Like this is it.
I want to... of course, we want growth and ourselves and our company and everything. Definitely growth. I want to have future designs. I know everyone doesn't like using this word sustainable, but that's how a lot of people can relate.
Yep.
Is to be, women struggle with finding one pieces. A lot of women wear 2 pieces, doing focus groups, talking to women in communities, but just really to make women to feel really comfortable in these one pieces, just to be known for, oh, I know a perfect one piece that has classic, timeless designs, good quality, just to really focus and get the word out there and get everyone in these one pieces. Yeah,
that's awesome. The other thing I'll say that I noticed, because on your pages and stuff, all the women are beautiful and everything, but you know what? They're not 80-pound models.
No.
That's, and to me, I love that. No, but I mean, that's like, a lot of people.
Yeah,
a lot of people, if you're making a brand or making your company, they would be afraid to go that way because, the industry is going to say to you, oh, no, you got to have, she's got to be 20 years old and slim and, whatever they have to look like. Your page, and you have a few girls like that. I'm not saying you don't, but they're all beautiful, realistic women.
Body positive.
Yes. And I just think that's amazing.
I'm healthy. I'm a size 10, and yes, body positive, body inclusivity is definitely one of our core values.
You bet. Sure. And you can say that in the fashion industry, that's where fashion falls down the most.
Absolutely.
It's horrible that way.
Yes.
So
just getting the great thing, because I do sell online. So when I do these pop-ups and being able to talk to everyone in person, talking to women, honestly, my target market is anyone from 16 to a friend of mine, her mom just bought one. She's going away in Mexico. Her mom's 76 years old. So she just bought a suit and she looks amazing. And she's like, I tried on my daughters, and she's like, I need to have this. So that's really, excellent. I mean, it's for everybody.
Yeah.
But just to really I really want to, one piece is going towards a good cause, raising awareness, recycled programs, getting women banding together, women empowerment. I mean, there's so many, it's new. I'm still navigating through exactly where I want the company to go, but I think I have a good start.
And too, I think it's excellent. Like I said,
local.
And that's why I got you onto the show. This is exactly what I wanted to talk about. Like I just think it's so interesting that especially in my life over the last 20 years, and this is a fact and a reality, just how much more women have become empowered of, we can do, and I'm not trying to sell some, feminist bullshit, but we can do whatever we want to do too.
Absolutely.
Not that men can't or men shouldn't, but women can, and it's so fucking enjoyable. It's great.
It is.
It's
Absolutely.
really, really good. It's just, there's so many brilliant women out there doing brilliant businesses, really good companies. I mean, here, my daughter runs this business. I just do the podcasts and have a lot of fun and play music with my friends and stuff. I have an extremely important role, obviously, looking good. Yes. I'm the beauty face, but she runs it, and I just think it's so cool and so exciting. And I think a lot of men, I don't know, because I don't really even care what other men think or anyone thinks for that matter.
Yeah,
I've always been that kind of person. I do what I do. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, well, that's your problem. It's not mine. But I just think it's so excellent. And there's so much bullshit rhetoric out there from men, like, what are women doing? Well, buddy, they're just making you look bad. That's all they're doing, right? It's like you're the one that has the problem, right? So, and I don't know, because I don't, let's say I don't travel to Edmonton or Calgary or Toronto that much, but I just see it booming in Vancouver.
Absolutely. I think so too. This is a new industry to me, and I love it. I used to work in a corporate world with, 60 type A executives, and so I don't know how I survived. So I think if I survived that for 13 years, I think I'd be on a different good path. Yeah. But really I just recently did a Yaletown fashion collective with 9 other women designers, local ones from jewelry to cashmere coats. So that really empowered me. So could be curating another one with my production partner. So we'll try to do them every 3 to 4 months. But that really gives me energy, because designing and doing what I do is an isolating process. So even like behind social media doors, even though it can be illusion sometimes, but there's, I contract out work and can be a one-man band at times. So
being an entrepreneur can be isolating at any time.
It's a lot of work.
Yep.
It's a lot more work than, my old Monday to Friday job.
Yeah, because I don't 24/7.
Creating your procedures, policies, and what to put in place, and staying motivated, staying on track.
But and it's yours.
I wouldn't trade it for anything.
But it's yours. It's 24/7.
Yeah.
When I wake up in the morning, after I've had my coffee, the first thing I think about is our studio. How are we coming along this week? Oh, we got appointments next month.
Absolutely.
We have all these. This year it's already booming. It's going crazy, but it never ends. And the last thing I think about usually when I go to bed, right? And during the day, maybe not every second, but when I'm out and about, it's like, oh, hey, you need a podcast. Oh, you need our, so it's a constant thing. Yeah. And I've, like I said, pretty much my whole life I've done it. And I love it for that reason. I love that I can, and one of the businesses I had I was just telling this guy, I said, we were younger and we went 21 days straight without a day off. And then my wife was like, are you guys ever going to just like take a day off? And we didn't even notice because it was just, we were loving it. Yeah. It was ours. And we were having a great time and dealing with great people. 21 days straight, Saturdays, we didn't even know what weekends were because it was just all, like that. And we do this at the studio too. It's like, there's no Monday to Friday or Saturday and Sunday. If people need to come in, we're here. If they need to work on the weekend, we're here. And, it's the same with you. If a client or somebody wants to see you, you have the freedom to go, yeah, let's do it. Like today, let's do the podcast.
Absolutely.
It's so fun and exciting.
I find like an artist and creator brain, you never shut it off. So doing whether that outlet is making a song or acting or designing suits and apparel, like it is an outlet. So
yeah, you bet. And I think I was thinking about that too just the other day, right? And because we do a monthly type thing to bring in people to learn about podcasting, so I have to talk because I do that pretty good. And but I was thinking about being creative, and when I was looking at it, I knew this anyways, that most entrepreneurs, even to the big ones, because they all started, even Elon Musk or any of those big ones, they all had to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
We are actually all creatives. That's what we are. And then I was looking back when I was a kid, I was like, without a doubt, when I was like 10 years old, I was making my own mountain bikes out of parts. The mountain bikes didn't come in 1970. I was making my own. And then as I grew in life, I've always been doing music, played guitar forever. So always in bands, always making music, always writing songs. But even in the businesses that I picked, it was about being creative and being a creative person, even though sometimes when people might see me, especially when I was working in construction, which can be incredibly creative, they see a big old construction worker guy, like you can't be creative. You can't play music. You can't make things. And like this table right here, I made this table.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And
I could use mine.
So it is that weird creativeness, and I hear that word a lot now on the internet. I'm a creator, and because they're doing their internet stuff. And I was thinking, I've been a creator all my life. It's never stopped.
My mom and dad asked me, they're like, "Where do you get this from?" Because no one in my family, I don't think, designs clothes. Like my aunts made clothes, my mom made clothes. We did sew, actually. Now I think, but we did sew. But my mom and dad are creators. Like I did a paint. One of those, you buy a bunch of canvases and have some wine. And my dad surprised us all. He's like made this beautiful canvas and it had this tree and this bird. And it was pretty amazing. Yeah, also, my mom, she's been doing Halloween. She would bedazzle a pumpkin and spray paint it white and put jewels on it. I'm like, that's being creative. I don't know anyone. They would just put 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. Like you took your time and spray painted it. And my sister's always does a lot of like woodwork and made Christmas. I'm like, my brother played guitar, like so,
and I think
like our whole family is but
and
like back then it's like you couldn't say you're an artist or a creator unless without being Van Gogh.
And I think that's exactly right. And I don't think people see that. They just think, oh, that's just me being, I don't know, creative. Yeah. You're doing that to a pumpkin is being creative. You're taking it the next step. It's like my parents, I was raised by, Italians, and it was awesome. And my dad was a plumber, and I was a plumber for a few years. But, and he loved his job. I mean, crazy, and it's funny because it's a stereotype, the Italian plumber. But, where, what? It's like, but where he got his creativity out is, we had that massive Italian garden. And he was magic out there. And I even said to him one day, I said, Pops, like, you are like so creative in the garden. And he looked at me like, what the hell are you saying to me? I'm like, well, it's just amazing. Like you grow,
wouldn't know. Yeah,
you grow all this stuff, but you just don't grow it. You curate it. I mean, it was, for years we just ate nothing but the best salads and tomatoes. And I said, that's what creativity is. It doesn't have to be painting up. It doesn't have to be this bullshit creativity. You don't have to be Andy Warhol. I said, growing that garden is, first of all, an incredible skill, but you didn't just grow it. It was freaking amazing. and he loved it, and he curated it, and they were perfect. And, he'd build all his own trellises, and he wouldn't just build them shittily. They were gorgeous, right? So I think that we need to look at things in our lives and the people in our lives and our families and appreciate that more and call it out going, you know what? You're being very creative. And people will look at you and go, I'm not creative.
Well, there's so many ways to look at it. Being creative, like, how am I going to navigate this day? Okay, I'm going to come do this positive. Like, how can, problem solving and trying to fit things in. Yeah, I think it should be allowed more. I don't know. I haven't been to school in a long time, but as growing up, I mean, I think just daily life lessons, talking to you is school for me now. But
it is.
Just allowing
cool.
it, even in offices and stuff, like, how can we creatively make this different and making things more fun? I think back in my previous job, like, I saw my boss, like, well, maybe once or twice a year, and she allowed me to do things with my team. I built my team. So this is what we're going to do. So that allowed me a lot to be creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I've never been in the big corporate world, but from what I've seen, that's their biggest problem, is that it just stifles creativity. And it just puts people in boxes, and these are the rules that we run by. And, because, you're dealing with a different world. But more creativity is just, to me at least, in every aspect of our lives, is nothing but good.
Well, yeah, it gives you more freedom and just loose and to be happy. Yeah.
And too, it makes you think better. It makes you think more dimensionally. And when I say that, it just makes you look at things that nothing. And when I say nothing is black and white, and when you look at situations, there's just so much more depth into them. And when you look at them creatively, you have more of the ability to have empathy and caring, because you can see deeper into that. This isn't a black and white issue. This isn't, this or that. There's tons of stuff going on. And I find that creative people have that much better ability to do that, because when you create, sometimes you start out wanting to create one thing. Like, I've made a lot of wood tables. So then I learned when I first started, and I didn't learn. This is one of the weird things, but one of these girls that worked with me, she's like, yeah, that's why you really... I don't look at a piece of wood and go, I'm going to make that. I look at the piece of wood, and then I start to work at it, and then it tells me what it's going to be. And it's like, it's really weird, but that's what creation is. It's like, you've got to have that flow to let it be what it's going to be, right? You don't know, maybe in 2 or 3 or 4 years from now, your company is going to grow into something better or different, not better, but bigger, that you never even thought of. And you're going to sit there and go, oh man, I was on a podcast 5 years ago with this goofy guy, Kelly, and he said that exact same thing. That now look what I am. Look what I am now. Not only do I do swimwear, but it's morphed into these things. So that's what creativity, I find, does. It teaches you that where it's going to go is where it's going to go, and you have to be along for the ride and steer it as best as you can and give it the energy.
I love it. It's just evolving.
Yes.
When I first started, I was post-corporate job. I was doing a lot of surfing and, trying to surf in Hawaii. So initially, I wanted to make rash guards. Those are the long sleeve.
I've had a million of them because I stand-up paddle intensely.
So that's originally what I wanted to do. And then as I was taking some fashion courses, it just evolved, and it turned into where I am, to these rash guards.
Yes.
And a friend of mine, he thought they were little things you wear on your wrist not to get a rash. He's like, I had no idea we were talking about rash guards. So it's completely evolved.
Yes.
It has been evolving since I've started it, where you kind of just find you're getting your footing. Also, just figuring out who your audience is as well.
Yeah.
So like who you're speaking to.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's so funny because not everybody's, but when I'm talking to entrepreneurs like you, and you're just saying that's just about my experience in every single business that I've started. So, for example, this one, we want to build a studio, and we want to do podcasting and music, voiceover work, all these things, right? And then I looked into building a studio, and it was like, holy cow, that's a lot of money. And it was years down the road. The one guy that really does it was like, oh yeah, I can do it for you in 2 or 3 or 4 years.
Oh wow.
Okay. And then so just in looking into it, then we found what we're in now, the Studio A, and it was that growth. Like, I wanted to do a studio. it didn't have to be that old studio. It didn't have to be that. I wanted just to do a studio so it can be anything that it's going to be. And this is what it's come out to be.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And so I think sometimes when people are going to try to be entrepreneurs or do their own thing, they get this is what it is. This is what I am.
Absolutely.
And it's like, no, that's the idea. And the idea is going to be what it's going to be. And you're there to help it along, you know?
Well,
so lots of surfing.
Build a house and who knows what you want to do with it.
I love surfing.
Me too.
Except, you know what? So I've done tons of stuff in my life, okay? So me and you were talking about skiing.
Yes.
Skied since I was 7. And, you know,
Me too.
I'm not going to say I'm the greatest skier in the world, but pretty close. You know, I can ski really, really well. And we both skied at Whistler, which is a big, steep mountain. You know, I rock climbed for years. I can't do it anymore because my shoulders got all worn out, but rock climbed. I love being outdoors. I love adventure.
Me too.
You know, fishing with my dad for years and years, everything. Tried surfing. I have never in my life encountered something so hard at least for me to do. It is hard to, well, you know, the thing is we were talking about the other day. So skiing, you're going down the hill, but the snow's not moving. It's just a hill, right? Skateboarding. Okay, the skateboard moves a bit, but I can control it. When you go surfing, the surfboard moves, the water moves, you move, and then you're moving.
Yes.
Like 4 planes of movement that you have to adjust to.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, you can't be scared of the water. For
Nope.
one. Go with a surf instructor. But just the energy, the charge of the wave, like they come in sets. Oh, I should have not been here many times. I don't know what I did. But it's being fearless.
Yeah,
it's
unreal.
Anyone that surfs, just the water, how it charges you behind and you're on this board is pretty intense, but it's cool. It's thrilling.
Yeah.
Then you fall and you get up and you do it a million times until you
exhausted. and then I mean, like I said, for a couple of years I was trying it, and then you know the amazing thing is that at least when I was doing it, when I would get a wave, like it's burned into my memory cells. I remember the exact same thing. It's an amazing feeling. And so in saying that, I've spent a lot of time on the water. I love the water. I know a lot of surfers, and you know, like some people go, well, I don't understand. They just like get rid of everything and they live in a van. You will never understood unless you surf and you catch that magic wave, because your brain changes and you're like, this is the only thing I need in my life. And that's why they become surf bums, because and it's something to do.
I mean, I could see another life probably doing that, living in a cool camper van.
Yeah.
But
what you were saying too, like when you were younger, you were in the water all the time, right?
I was on a log.
Yeah. And so and the ocean. So over the last 10 years I got into stand-up paddling, and you know, I've done that like in between construction jobs. I was going to take 6 months off, and it ended up being almost 2 years. And I paddled every single day, like into January and everything. Yeah. And so, and I've sailed all my life, and I've worked on the water and stuff. The water and the ocean, for me at least, is just my place that recharges me, and it puts energy into me when I'm really down. And it doesn't happen very often because
I need to see it every day.
I couldn't imagine.
I got a sliver view from my condo.
I couldn't imagine living in the Midwest, not by the ocean. I just can't.
Arizona?
And and when I'm
sorry, Arizona.
No, sorry, Arizona, love you, not. When I'm down, I just go to Jericho, and it can be any time of the year because it doesn't matter. And shoes off on the sand, and I walk in the water, and it's just like, you know. And then my wife looks at me and goes, "Yeah, sometimes you're a goofy bastard when you talk like that." I know. And I'm not a super spiritual.
You can goofy talk to me about the ocean all day.
I'm not a super spiritual guy of all this stuff, but the ocean does it for me. And my theory is this, is that the oceans, like the Pacific Ocean but the Pacific Ocean is one of the largest things in the world.
Yeah.
Okay? Bigger than any of the land masses. And it holds energy. It has the massive amounts of energy. And I believe, and this is going to be my goofy belief, that when I'm in it, And if I open myself to it and let that energy flows into me and makes me feel better, that's what I believe.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
could be totally wrong, but that's what I believe.
My mom and I, it's funny, my family, we go back to Sunshine Coast and rent Airbnbs along the water. My whole family knows, like, oh, get Cindy to pick it 'cause she needs to be near the ocean. Everyone knows. Like, I like my sunsets, I like sunrises, my feet need to be in there. But it's always, there's, definitely huge respect for the ocean because it could be terrifying.
Yeah.
Always like, if I'm doing something in it, I'm like, hey, be nice to me. I love you. Do a little
But I think that's part of
prayer
it, though.
before, I don't know.
I think that's part of it. It's it is an incredibly powerful entity. It's not like people don't die out on the ocean. They do because they don't respect it.
Yeah.
When I'm stand-up paddling, so my wife, she's like, and I have a great son, and he's paddles, and we're very similar in a lot of ways, but in one aspect, when we get into something, we get into it, right? But I've always, I've sailed since I was 16 years old, and so my wife calls me a waterman, and people go, what's a waterman? You maybe have heard that, so, like surfers, a lot of them, but a waterman is someone like me who even right now, like 3 or 4 times a week, checks the tides.
I do too.
I haven't been out to the
I have a shark
water.
app. I'm tracking sharks right now.
I check the tides every day, and I check the weather on the water and what the wind's blowing and what's coming in. And she's just like, yeah, that's why, and she goes, like, when you're on the water, because she's been on the water with me on boats that we've had and people's boats. She goes, like, that's one of the most natural states that you're in because
I check the tides too.
I know.
Well, I have to for shoots, and
but
I
don't have to.
year round, so.
I don't have to check the tides for anything, and I still do it because I just love it. It's like I said, it really connects with me. Especially when I'm paddling, I have to. But
I do too.
I've gone paddling, and I'll put in at like Kitts Beach. And so I'll paddle to the top of English Bay and back. And I've had times where I'm like, okay, and I'm coming back into Kitts, and I'm like, I was gone. I was just like in the zone. And it's like a 2.5 hour paddle, 3 hours. And I was just breathing and going. And, I know I would do it really early in the morning. So the bay is dead. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning in the summer.
You
and
want
it's just
glassy.
and it's just gorgeous. And then there'll be some seals or the wildlife is out, especially on Spanish Banks when the tide goes down, but it's not super low. You're only paddling in like 5 feet of water, and you see it's just like, to me, again, I'm not a spiritual person, but if I was,
I'm gonna invest in a sup board, stand-up paddle board.
Yeah, I'll take you out. You don't have to invest. I
just borrow my friends right now, but I wanted to go out quite a few times before I invest in.
Like I said, I've got 6 boards.
Oh, okay, just borrow one of yours.
Yeah, just borrow one of ours, and I'll take you out there and teach you everything to know. But that's again, one of the things that I love about Vancouver is the water,
skiing, swimming, and golfing all in the same day.
Yeah, or just being out in nature. Just you in the summertime.
Not a huge hiker. My hiking is walking along the seawall.
In the summertime, it's just like heading out to the valley, especially like in the Chilliwack area, because a lot of people, again, it's an hour or something drive out there in traffic. It's so stupid, but once you're out there especially the north side, there's a little mountain range in there, and there is just gorgeous parks. There's like waterfalls in there. The only reason I know this is I worked out there for a few years doing heli construction. So they were installing new power lines from the interior to, I don't know where, Coquitlam. So we got to fly into those mountains on helicopters, and it's like, it's so gorgeous. And it's like, and there's these provincial parks that got waterfalls, and there's beautiful lakes. So yeah, it's just an incredible area. I know, and people that listen to my podcast go, yeah, you go on about it a lot. And I said, well,
nature's important.
What is the name of my show? It's the Guy Vancouver. And I'm consisting of the whole Lower Mainland. I really love it. It's
there are some beautiful spots. Yeah, I did. God. Yeah, my parents are out in Coquitlam, so I grew up in Coquitlam.
Yeah, and it's a city though. I mean, I'm not going to candy coat it. We have the same problems as all major cities. Our homeless problem is ridiculous.
That's a whole other podcast, but I'll come back to that one.
In Canada, but everywhere, our housing prices are ridiculous, so, but these are things that as a person, I can do a few things, especially the homeless. I have incredible amounts of empathy for homeless and addiction. So I do what I do. And, but all that other stuff, I can't control housing prices. They're going to be what they're going to be. So I don't worry too much about all that stuff. But I want my city to be a good city. I want to feel comfortable everywhere I go.
Yeah.
And I do pretty much. I mean, I've lived here all my life. There's,
Yeah.
I walk the streets pretty, John Travolta-like. So I don't have many problems. But yeah, it's just a great city. And like I said, with this podcast, I'm just meeting so many great people like you that just, have the same passion for Vancouver.
Thank you. I do. I really do.
Yeah.
I love it. And always going on a walk. We were out for a drive in West Van the other day. I was like, look at the mountains just after it snowed. Like, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's
and
stunning.
Still like the landscape. I'll always living here all my life. Still beautiful landscape.
As podcasts go,
Yes.
see, we were talking earlier, you were going, I wonder if we're going to have enough information. Our time is just about up. See, it goes by.
It does.
It goes by fast when it's just, we have stuff to talk about. So for closing, give it the whole spiel where they can find your stuff, everything, blah, blah, blah.
Amazing. Okay. So you can find one-piece suits, high quality, sustainable made, goes toward battered women support services in Canada. Everything down to the packaging. Packaging is all made from ocean-bound plastic that helps alleviate poverty in Southeast Asia, helps cleans up the ocean. So you can come and find my suits at onepiececo.com. That's onepeace.co. You can learn more about BWSS at bwss.org and just Google My Sister's Closet here in Vancouver.
Awesome. I would just like to thank you so much, Cindy, for coming on, because people think, oh, well, I guess, Kelly, everybody wants to be guests on your shows. But, I really appreciate when you take the time out of your day to come in and bullshit. I know that in the future I'll have you back because I want to continue to see how your company's growing. But we have more to talk about. Like I said, once you get going, there's a great amount to talk about. So I will have you back probably later in the summer after, we do a bunch of fun things together. I'm sure we'll run into each other a lot. With our mutual friends. As usual, remember, I am the Guy Vancouver. I am on Spotify. I think I'm on other ones, but just go to Spotify. That's my favorite. And you make sure you follow me, download my episodes. If you have something to say, I am on the Insta, the Guy Vancouver. Ask me questions. You want to be on the show even? Yeah, you never know, especially if you're locally Vancouver. I'd like to thank Get Ready Sound, Studio A. It's the greatest, man. It is the greatest. Always doing a good job making me sound like I'm somebody. So thanks so much. Signing off. We'll see you next time.